Good afternoon. This is the hearing officer meeting for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017 for the City of Tempe. Today's meeting is called to order. My name is David Williams and I'm the City of Tempe's hearing officer. The City of Tempe hearing officer is authorized by Arizona revised statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code, and the hearing officer has the duty to carry out the provisions and intent of the City of Tempe General Plan and Zoning and Development Code. I am granted the authority to conduct public hearings to review and either approve, continue, deny, or approve with conditions the following types of cases: use permits, variances, and property abatements. On today's agenda, we have a couple changes that I want folks to be aware of. We have a couple different types of items as well. We will have one set of meeting minutes to approve, one use permit request, and one request for a use permit standard. Just to note, agenda item number 2 for the Iron Mountain Shredding Facility, that item has been continued until the May 17th hearing officer meeting if you are interested in that case. As the hearing officer, I have reviewed the City of Tempe Community Development Department's report on each of the cases that are being considered today, and I use that information during the deliberations. Additionally, I've driven by each of the properties on today's agenda, visited those sites in those neighborhoods to help me have understanding of the site and situation, the surrounding property, as well as the conditions on the property. If you are an applicant or interested citizen, when your request is called or when you wish to address the hearing officer, please come on up to the front of the room, up to the microphone, and state your name and city of residence. Any person other than the applicant that wishes to speak about a case on today's agenda should complete a white speaker card and hand that off to staff when you come up to speak. Those speaker cards are on the podium, on the table, back at the rear of the room. You're given about 3 minutes to speak, and we welcome your participation. Any person who might be aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal, and that needs to be done within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. So as such, the deadline for appealing any decisions that are made today is May 16th, 2017 at 3 p.m. That deadline for appeals for decisions today, May 16th, 2017, 3 p.m. Appeals of the decisions of the hearing officer are either heard by the Board of Adjustment or the Development Review Committee, whatever body is the appropriate depending on the type of application. In the case of a property abatement, if the property owner fails to file an appeal or fails to bring the property into compliance by this due date, the code violations addressed at the hearing are abated by the city. I want to introduce a couple folks today. Over to my right, to your left, are Steve Abrahamson, Principal Planner for the City of Tempe, Diane McGuire, Administrative Assistant, and Lee Jimenez, he's a Senior Planner. Okay, today's agenda items, we're going to get started on the meeting. The first item is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was April 18th. I have reviewed those. They are an accurate reflection of that meeting, and those minutes are hereby approved. I'm sorry?
We have a matter of housekeeping. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to clarify that the Iron Mountain case
Yes.
is not continued to the next meeting, but the meeting after, which is the June 6th hearing officer meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so for the record, it's June 6, 2017 for the Iron Mountain Facilities use permit case.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, staff. Anything else? Okay, did we get agenda item 1 on the record, approval of the minutes? Okay, those were approved. We're going to, as just mentioned, the item 2 is continued to June 6th. Item 3 was also continued, so we're up to item 4, and this is a request for approval of a use permit to allow resale items, such as a second-hand dealer for Jason Miller Fine and Estate Jewelry. This is case PL 170079. The store is located at 1721 East Warner Road in Suite 5, and the applicant is Jason Miller Zigal LLC. Mr. Jimenez.
Hearing Officer Williams, my name is Lee Jimenez. I'm a Senior Planner with the Community Development Department in the Planning Division. Jason Miller Fine and Estate Jewelry operates in Suite 5 of Cobblestone Village Center, located on the southwest corner of East Warner and South McClintock Drive in the PCC1 Planned Commercial and Neighborhood District. The applicant, Jason Miller, is proposing to add a secondhand dealer component to the existing jewelry retail store operation. According to Tempe City Code, Section 16A-1, a secondhand dealer means any person engaged in the business of dealing in secondhand goods, wares, merchandise, coins, jewelry, precious metals, and semi-precious stones, whether such business is the principal business or is merely incidental to some other business. This activity does not include dealers or auctioneers of property requiring the transfer of title by the laws of the state. Mr. Miller indicates that his secondhand dealer component is not like a typical gold buying or pawn shop operation where loans are granted, but instead provides outright purchases from customers. In addition to this use permit, a secondhand dealer license is required by the City of Tempe Tax and Licensing Division. And so far to date, no public input has been received by staff. And as indicated in the staff report, staff believes that this application meets all the approval criteria for this use permit and supports this request subject to the conditions provided in the staff report. And I'll be available should you have any questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jimenez, in terms of any public input and input from the police department on this particular case, do we have any public comment, positive or negative?
No input from the public has been received.
Okay.
And during the review process, I did contact police, and they indicated that no security plan would be required for this use.
Thank you very much, sir. Is the applicant here today? Come on up. How you doing? Podium right there. And welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today. Go ahead and give us your name and
My name is Jason Miller, and I'm applying for the use permit at 1721 East Warner Road, suite number C5 in Tempe, Arizona. And basically, the way that it typically works is people will come into my store if they've inherited jewelry from a mother, aunt, uncle, whatever, and I'll look at it, make them an offer to purchase it outright, or sometimes we'll actually trade if they want to make a new custom piece. Then I can apply that they brought into the store as a credit towards designing something new for them.
great. Thank you for the information. And as I understand it, it's not a pawn shop type of activity, just to be clear on the public record.
sir.
It's not what you're asking for. It's not the type of activity.
Not at all, no.
Do you have any questions at all?
I do not.
Okay, there were a couple conditions of approval, 3 of them to be specific. Are you aware of those or any questions related to those?
I am not aware of the 3 conditions, no.
Okay. I'm going to let staff hand you a copy. Take a peek, take your time. There's no, it's not a race. Just take a glimpse at those. They are pretty standard, Lee, that's correct. These are standard conditions. There's no exceptional ones in that list, as they appear to me,
That is correct.
Okay.
which tells me there wasn't any particular concerns. Did they make sense to you?
Yes, sir, they do.
Okay. Thanks for coming today. You're
Thank
welcome
you.
to have a seat.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on agenda item number 4, this is a request for a use permit for resale items at Jason Miller Fine and Estate Jewelry. I'm not seeing anyone to speak on this item. Your request for use permit is approved, subject to those 3 conditions, and good luck with your business. You're welcome. And again, thanks for being here. Criteria. Thank you. Yes, thank you. In a little too much of a hurry today. Okay, as a requirement with use permits in the city of Tempe, there's a set of criteria that need to be met in order to issue a use permit. And on this case, on all cases, they include, is there any significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic from this use permit? We think this change to the type of jewelry sale they're doing does not create excessive traffic. The second criteria is nuisances from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke. Don't see that related to jewelry sales at all. Number 3, contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood or downgrading of property values, which would be in conflict with our adopted goals and objectives for rehabilitation, redevelopment, and conservation as in our and it's in our general plan. And the resale operation, we don't believe does that. I don't believe does that. And in fact, I think actually strengthens this business, as I understand the application. The fourth criteria is compatibility with existing surrounding structures. There's no changes anticipated here with the structure. You're using the existing shopping center space and parking. And finally, adequate control of disruptive behavior, both inside and out. We don't have any information or record there's any problems with that type of issue at this location. And I believe the criteria 5 is met as well. So understanding those criteria have been met in the opinion of the hearing officer, the use permit for agenda item number 4 for Jason Miller is approved, subject to the conditions in the staff report. And thank you, staff, for reining me in. Okay. We're going to move on to our next agenda item, and as just a reminder, item 5 will not be heard today and is continued to the May 17th hearing meeting. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 6, which is request approval of a use permit standard to reduce the front yard setback for the Calhoun residence, which is case PL 170099, and that lot is located at 11640 South 71st Street, excuse me. The applicants are Cole and Jennifer Calhoun. Mr. Jimenez.
Good evening. Once again, Lee Jimenez, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. The Calhoun residence is a new build single-family residence located on Lot 3 of the Saylor Estate subdivision, which is near the southwest corner of South 71st Street and East Carver Road in the AG Agricultural District. The applicants, Cole and Jennifer Calhoun, are requesting a use permit standard to reduce the required front yard setback for a building by 20% from 40 feet to 32 feet. To date, staff has received a phone call and an email from the property owner to the west across the alley. He inquired about additional information about the request and asked if the home was proposed as a 2-story home, since the letter of explanation made mention of a playroom loft. Staff informed him that the plans submitted are for a single-level home with a lower level or basement with nothing else indicating a second-level use. Nonetheless, the Zoning and Development Code only requires a use permit for a second-story addition or rebuild, not for new construction in a new subdivision, as in this case. Furthermore, the applicant also provided 2 letters of support at the time of application from neighboring properties to the north and east. And as indicated in the staff report, staff believes that this application meets all the approval criteria for a use permit standard and supports this request subject to the conditions provided in the staff report.
Okay. Just for kind of point of order here on this particular lot, remind me what the lot size is here. This is a 60,000 square foot lot.
The lot size is actually
That's the whole
60,416 square feet.
Okay. So that's
About
about an acre and a half.
An acre and a half, almost.
Yeah. Large lot. Okay, and you mentioned we had information from a neighbor to the west, and that area of concern, I was looking at the plans, is 60-some feet from that property line.
Part of the house is set back 66 feet from the property line.
Okay, and there's a detached garage which is close to the west property line, but that's single story.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, I think that is all the questions I had. Any other public input, Mr. Jimenez?
That's all the input I've received to date.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant here, our representative? Come on up. And welcome. Just give us your name and your city of residence and your relationship to the project and any information you'd like to present.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Calhoun. We are looking to build this home at 11640 South 71st Street. We currently, I'm sorry? No, I'm sorry. Oh. We currently live in Chandler on Ray and Priest. We are requesting this reduced setback of 20% so that we can have, with the layout of the home and the architecture, we have a flow that goes right through the home to the backyard, and we're proposing putting a pool through this window, which is a large window when you enter the home. And this is a direct line of sight from the front door to the backyard. And the way that the cul-de-sac lot with the home, the way that it'll be placed on the lot, it's a little bit tight in the back. So we're requesting that 20% reduction of that setback so we can gain 8 feet and have a little bit more room for that pool and that direct line of sight, and kind of the whole reason we were designing the house in this way.
Okay. Anything else? Did you talk, I noticed you talked to your neighbors? Couple
Did,
next
yes,
door,
sir.
the two next door properties?
There's one, he is north of our property. He is currently living there. His home is complete, he's living there.
Right.
The home to the east, they're building their home.
Okay. Very good. Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here today. I may have to ask you back up for a question or two, but you're welcome to have a seat, and thanks for the information.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this request for use permit? This is agenda item 6 for the Calhoun residents. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Praveen Jain. I live east to them, so I just wanted to actually see what the residence looks like, and also what will that do
Yes.
as far as my residence is concerned. Because my biggest concern is the residence that was built to the north of them was built as a 2-story home, which directly looks into the backyards. So I just want to kind of make sure that's not what is going on and where it is with respect
Right.
to my home.
Good. Good. And you are a resident of the city of Tempe?
Yes.
Correct? Okay, just for our record. Have you seen that information? Do you have remaining questions in terms of where that area of the home is?
Yeah, I called Mr. Jimenez and he sent me some stuff, but it was very small print, so it was not very clear. So I thought I'll stop by, take a look at it, and then go from there.
Okay. And I noticed that the request for the use permit is to reduce the front yard, which actually kind of pushes the home farther away from you, a few feet.
Well, I don't know exactly what the home is located, what's front, what's back.
Okay.
So I just would like to review that, and that's all.
Okay. And I think you're welcome to come in and meet with staff, and they can provide you that information. Is that fairly accurate to say, staff?
I can actually go up back to the podium, and we'll pull up the site plan and the floor plan
Let's do
and
that.
provide an overview.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the site plan. North is in the direction of my finger. Is it- What's his name? I'm sorry, what was your name, sir, again? Are you the neighbor to the west?
To the west.
To the west
Oh,
across the alley? Okay, so
the-
you're the neighbor I made reference
Email that
to
we
in the-
got,
in
the
the
email.
comment report. Okay.
Right? That was you.
So he's located over here on the west. The home is actually shifted 8 feet more towards the front yard.
So
And-
northeast kind of, huh? It shifts northeast.
And then I believe from your phone call, you were concerned with in the letter, they called out a playroom loft. And so, and I might need some help from the applicant to explain this, but, so this is the floor plan. If you could picture, so we have the north arrows facing down. So this is the cul-de-sac right here. Cul-de-sac is right here. This is the playroom that you made reference to. And based on the plans, from what I've reviewed, this is the main level of the home, and the loft area is looking down towards the lower level patio area, which is below grade. So there is no second story or second level to the main home. There's just a lower level in which the playroom is overseeing into the lower patio area. And
So-
perhaps the homeowner can maybe assure that my inference of this is correct.
Yeah. Ms. Calhoun, you're welcome to come back up, and we want to get your response on the microphone. And really the question is, the playroom floor elevation, like relative to the elevation of the lot, like
Correct.
out in the backyard, is that a foot or two higher? Is it 10 feet higher?
It will be, so as Lee said, he is correct. It is above this vestibule walkway coming from the dining room to the family room. To the left of this circle area is,
This button right
the red, that top one?
Yeah.
Wait, where am I pointing it though?
here, the projector.
I can-
Oh, you were blocking with
circle
your
one.
finger. No, it's this one. Just,
Hold it
you were
like that.
blocking the
Okay.
the laser.
I should
There
know
you
I'm
go.
only 29. Yes, this area is looking down. This is a lower level, so this is underground. This is above the ceiling, so it will be starting about 10 feet high, but it is interior above this area, above this walkway through here, connected to this playroom here, inside the home.
Okay. And now the views out of that playroom are which direction?
The views, there's one window right here overlooking the backyard and overlooking this
Got it.
lower level patio.
Okay.
If I'm correct, the area that we were discussing is around here.
Right.
And that window is pointed towards the south.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Southeast.
Correct.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a wall on the perimeter of your lot,
Yes, sir.
and is that a 5-foot wall, do you know, or 6 foot? Is it here on you, or is it up here?
No, it's not that high.
It's probably
It's not
5
that high.
foot.
And I might add, there's about, I believe it's a 30-foot, why can I not do this? I believe this alleyway is 30 feet. From our fence to this fence, there's a 30-foot alleyway there.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Sir, would you like to come back up? Are you satisfied? Okay. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate you being here. Anything else from the applicant? Looks like we're good. Staff, any other comments?
There may be more public comment. Another
Thank you.
citizen has stepped into the chambers.
Right, right. Okay, Mr. Jimenez, are you okay? We're on agenda item number 6 for members of the audience. It's the Calhoun residence request for a use permit for a front yard modification or a front yard reduction. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on that case? Agenda item 6. If you'd come on up, and we need your name and city of residence, and thank you for coming today.
Jolene Gilbert, and I live on the same street, on 71st Street. And I'm curious as to what exactly is being requested.
Okay, great question. What the property owner is requesting is there's normally a 40-foot front yard setback from the street to the front of the house. They're requesting a 20% reduction from 40 feet to 32 feet. And that's what's on the agenda today.
Okay, and the street in question is the cul-de-sac.
The cul-de-sac bulb, you know how it's round like a bulb? So it'd be 32 feet from the edge of that curve, and we can show you a site plan in a second, versus 40 feet. So not from 71st, for example.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason is because the size of the house?
Yes, it's a large house. So there's a site plan too, Lee, Mr. Jimenez, that would be helpful. We can- And it looks
So
like
for
that.
reference, Carver Road is up here. This is 71st Street. Here's rural further to the east.
Yeah, hopefully you can find
There's
your
a-
lot on there
There's a
somewhere.
4-unit subdivision, Sailor Estates.
Oh, yeah, I'm
This is one lot there. So by code, in this zoning district, the setback requirement is 40 feet. Their request is is to apply for a use permit standard to reduce this setback by 20%. So it's an 8-foot reduction. So the house is shifted more towards the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
by 8 feet.
I think the only concern we have as neighbors, we've had some issues in the past with our CCNRs being broken, and so, I mean, there's just a
Ignored.
little concern
Yeah.
that this would set a precedence. So, I mean, that's why I was here, just to,
CCNRs related to setbacks or building height or
everything,
everything?
Yes.
Like my neighborhood, huh?
yeah, yeah. Zoning, setbacks, height, everything.
Right.
We've had issues, so
Yeah.
that's
So
why I'm here.
And just so you probably already know this, but CCNRs are private agreements that you guys get to enforce on each other. Zoning is public regulation that the staff is responsible to make sure that's complied with. So
And
there's
with-
kind of two different bodies that get to work on how things look and get controlled in a neighborhood.
With this change in zoning, could it set precedents for other homes getting a,
Okay, it's actually technically not a change in zoning, but it's a change in setback requirement, or it's an exception to the 40. So the zone will stay the same, I believe. It's the AG zone is what staff told me. It's in their report as well. So the zoning is not being changed, so there will be doesn't set a pattern for future zone changes. If there's one more lot then to be developed on this cul-de-sac, right? This is the
Right.
third. So perhaps they could come in and ask for a front yard setback reduction, but it's considered on its own merits
Okay.
versus has this happened in the neighborhood. Each case has to be evaluated on does it meet the criteria that we're going to go over in a minute. So it's a very good question because I understand, once you break the shell there, then the floodgates are open.
right?
But each case has to be evaluated individually.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right.
for coming today.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wants to speak on agenda item number 6, the Calhoun request for front yard setback standard adjustment? Okay, as I just mentioned, and thank you for members of the public that came today. We appreciate your input. When we look at these cases, and they are individually evaluated, we have to measure them against 5 criteria that come out of our code, and they include any significant increase in vehicular or pedestrian traffic from the proposed use permit standard. And in this case, we don't believe, and I don't believe, that the setback reduction changes the traffic at this house in any way. Would there be any nuisance arising from odor, dust, gas, noise, vibration, smoke, and heat? It's true the house will be closer to the street, but I don't believe there'll be any of those type of nuisances associated with this home. The third criteria is contribution to the deterioration of the neighborhood or the downgrading of property values, which would be in conflict with our adopted goals and objectives in the city's general plan. And the setback reduction in the construction of this new home is a significant property improvement and significant investment in the neighborhood and is not at all deterioration, in my opinion. Number 4, compatibility with existing surrounding structures. I think it's true on this cul-de-sac, the homes are different than the homes out on 71st Avenue, for example, and in other parts, but they are consistent. They do meet the zoning requirements, and I think they're compatible in that regard and find that criteria to be met. And then number 5 is control of disruptive behavior inside and outside the premises. We have no information or indication there'll be any issues with people on this property creating a nuisance to the public or the surrounding area. So the 5th criteria is met in my opinion as well. Understanding that and considering the input I received today from some of the public and from the applicant, and that staff has made a recommendation for approval, which I agree with. This request for use permit standard is approved, subject to the 2 conditions included in the staff report, and wish you guys good luck with the construction of your home. And thank you for taking your time, and thank you neighbors also for coming today. Okay, that is item 6 on our agenda, and as is the last item of action today. The next meeting of the hearing officer will be Wednesday, May 17th, and that's a Wednesday, not a Tuesday, which we normally meet on. And so that's 2 weeks and a day from today. Mr. Abrahamson, anything that you'd like to add today?
No, thank you, Hearing Officer Williams.
Okay, thank you, staff, for a good job today. I appreciate your help. And today's meeting is adjourned.